no daylight between the House Republicans, the House, and the president on maximum transparency. He has said that he wants all the credible files related to Epstein to be released.
That's House Speaker Mike Johnson not long ago calling for more transparency from the Trump administration on the Epstein files. A few days later, he said there's no daylight between House Republicans and President Trump when it comes to the issue of maximum transparency. It does seem, though, along came some daylight. Republican Congressman Tom Massey of Kentucky and Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California filed a discharge petition that would force a House vote on the release of all the Epstein files. Speaker Johnson argues the petition doesn't do enough to protect the victims and says it would force the DOJ and FBI to release information, quote, that was not even credible enough to be entered into the court proceedings.
I don't understand Thomas Massey's motivation. I really don't. It's interesting to me that he chose the election of President Trump to bring this, to team up with the Democrats and bring this discharge petition.
After that, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comey said he would subpoena the Justice Department for additional Epstein files, and House Speaker Mike Johnson's back with us. Here it is, Speaker Johnson. As I told you, your favorite topic, the Epstein files. So this issue is going to be waiting for you when Congress returns. And just this afternoon, Congressman Massey posted, quote, Speaker Johnson has been promoting this non-binding resolution, hoping to give cover to those who don't want a full release of the Epstein files. Embarrassingly, Section 3 of his resolution refers to Section 2, which doesn't exist, unquote. Massey calls your resolution a glorified press release. He says his bill would be binding, has the force of the law, and he says it does protect the victims. I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond.
Look, I have no interest in getting a back and forth with Thomas Massey. He's doing what he's doing. Everybody can judge the motivation for themselves. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't have a resolution. There is a resolution that's out there that was passed by the House Republicans on the Rules Committee, and that's, Freedom Caucus members and a cross-section of members who are for maximum transparency as well. It is carefully drafted. It protects the victims, and it has disclosure requirement within a 30-day window or shorter time period, if I remember right. That is the right method to do it. The discharge petition was brought in a way that was, in my view, just a little bit haphazard. Okay, they didn't have lawyers drafted. I don't think they used the Legislative Council to do it, and so there's some things that are erroneous in the legislation. For example, they say they want to protect child sex abuse victims, but they cite the wrong federal code article, so it makes it unworkable. So there's some problems there. We have to make sure that while we're pushing all the credible evidence out and information to the people so they can draw their own conclusions, we have to protect the innocent victims, and we have a responsibility to do that, and I'm going to be insistent about it. So, people can say whatever they say, but we're going to get transparency for the folks, but we're going to protect the people who have already gone through great harm.
Yeah, without question, I think everybody agrees that the names of the innocent victims, the names of the victims of this should be redacted, full stop, no question. I do want to ask you, though, because in 2023, when you announced plans to publicly release thousands of hours of footage from the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack, critics argued that it could be a safety risk because the footage detailed how rioters accessed the building and the routes lawmakers used to find safety. And you said in a statement at the time, quote, this decision will provide millions of Americans, criminal defendants, public interest organizations, and the media an ability to see for themselves what happened that day rather than having to rely upon the interpretation of a small group of government officials. Now, obviously, the Capitol attack and the Epstein sex trafficking scandal are two different things, but the principle of trusting a small group of government officials is the same. I think one of the problems people have, especially MAGA-base people, MAGA Republicans, is that a small group of government officials entered into a sweetheart deal with Epstein in 2007, 2008, and then seem to have been protecting a lot of the bad guys who availed themselves of these victims.
Well, look, all I can say is we've been intellectually consistent about this whole thing. I want everything to come out about the Epstein evils that is possible to be released, because the people that were involved in those unspeakable evil acts should be punished with the greatest severity of the law, and it should have happened a long time ago. So I'm fully in favor of that. We have to do it in a responsible manner. That's why we're intellectually consistent. Just with the J6 tapes, we want people to draw their own conclusions, but there's a couple of hours that were never released because it shows the secret exits, for example, in the Senate. Like, that would be create a harm for people who serve in that body. So
sure.
we have to do it in a responsible manner. But look, I'm pushing for aggressively for the full release of everything that is possible. And by the way, so is the president. He has said the same thing. We're using every mechanism within our power to do that and to do it as quickly as possible.
Let's turn to something that's a very